Judging by what you say was the overcrowding and what else you saw in there that night, do you think it would have been easy to prevent such a tremendous loss of life? What would have had to have been done? Was it poorly organized? What happened? Was the place poorly set up or what?
I don't think there was any organization in the place in the first place. You couldn't get in touch with the cabaret room unless you took the microphone away from the entertainers anyway. There's no intercom in that place at all. There's no fire alarms. There are lights in there. There's a light in the hallway that's an emergency light. I don't even know how to turn it on. They don't instruct you on that kind of stuff.
We hit it together. Everything was going great.
It was beautiful.
If the people had just moved when they were told to get out.
Because when we got out there, we just figured everybody was out. And when they started...
Yeah, we just figured everyone was out.
A report on paper and something for arson investigators and coroner's examiners to probe for years and years to come. But tonight, it's a very tragic and a very heart-rending experience.
Oh my God.
The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire in Southgate, Kentucky, is the 7th deadliest nightclub fire in history. It occurred on the night of May 28, 1977, during the Memorial Day holiday weekend. A total of 165 people died, and more than 200 were injured as a result of the blaze. The Beverly Hills was a major attraction, less than 2.5 miles outside Cincinnati, just across the Ohio River in Southgate, Kentucky, on US 27, near what would later become its interchange with Interstate 471. The club booked its entertainers from Las Vegas, Nashville, Hollywood, New York, and other show business hubs. The site had been a popular night spot and illegal gambling house as early as 1926. Ohio native Dean Martin had been a blackjack dealer there. The club had reopened under the then current owners and management in 1971 and was considered an elegant venue that attracted top-notch talent and affluent clientele. Several additions had been built onto the original structure between 1970 and 1976, creating a sprawling, non-linear complex of function rooms and service areas. The resulting complex was roughly square in shape, and though it was not situated in a north-south direction, reports of the fire have tended to use these as reference points when describing the complex. Assuming this system, the front entrance of the complex lay at the southern point of the compass. Along the central portion of the southern wall to the east of the building entrance was a small event room called the Zebra Room. A narrow corridor to the Zebra Room's east separated it from the Viennese Room in a series of service spaces, which ran northward along the building's eastern wall. This interior corridor terminated between the garden room, occupying the central portion of the north wall of the building, and the cabaret room, which jutted out from the northeastern corner of the building. A smaller, branching corridor led from the internal corridor to an exit door that sat between the garden room and the cabaret room. To exit the building from the cabaret room, using that corridor, a person would need to pass through a set of double doors into the main interior corridor, pass through the single door between the main interior corridor and the branching interior corridor, turn a sharp corner into the branching corridor, and proceed approximately 1/4 of the length of the cabaret room to the single door that connected the branching corridor to the exterior of the building. This complex navigation was not atypical for the building. A number of other event and services spaces were scattered throughout the rest of the building. with some rooms leading into each other, some leading into interior hallways, and some leading to the outside of the building. A partial second story covered approximately the southern third of the building, sitting above the main entrance, zebra room, and main dining room. It held 2 more small event rooms made of 6 smaller rooms conjoined, collectively labeled the Crystal Rooms. Though the building's frame and ceiling tiling was classified as non-combustible, the Beverly Hills Supper Club made substantial use of wooden building materials, including floor joists for the 2-story portion of the complex and framing on interior hallways. It was decorated throughout with highly flammable carpeting and wood wall paneling. It was the 70s. Event rooms also used wooden tables and supports, as well as tablecloths, curtains, and a variety of other small combustible materials. The building did not have a fire suppression sprinkler system installed. At the time, these were not required in venues such as the Supper Club, nor did it have an alarm system or smoke detectors. In addition, the majority of the paths of egress in each event room led not to the outside of the building, but to a variety of narrow interior corridors and service spaces. On Saturday, May 28, 1977, the Beverly Hills Supper Club was operating beyond capacity, largely due to the popularity of that evening's cabaret room show, featuring popular Hollywood singer and actor John Davidson.
Something in the way she moves attracts me like no other lover. Something in the way she woos me. I don't wanna leave her now. You know I believe and how. Somewhere in her smile, she knows I don't need no other lover. Something in that style that shows me I don't wanna leave her now. You know I believe and how. You're asking me, will my love grow? I don't know.
Based on its number of exits, the cabaret room could safely accommodate about 600 people, according to the calculations of the fire marshal. On that night, it exceeded capacity, with people seated on ramps and in aisles. According to later estimates, based on seating charts and memories of those present, the number of patrons in the cabaret room at 9:00 p.m. was between 900 and 1,300. Regardless of the exact number, sources agree that the room was beyond its safety capacity. Elsewhere in the club, patrons were eating gourmet meals. Later estimates placed the total number of people in the Beverly Hills Supper Club on May 28, 1977, at approximately 3,000, substantially more than the 1,500 people fire code allowed at the time for a building with the number of exits the club had. Near the south exit, close to the main bar, the opposite end of the building from the cabaret room, a wedding reception drew to a close around 8:30 p.m. in the Zebra Room, near the building's main entrance. Some of its guests had complained of the room being excessively warm, with loud explosions from beneath the floor, and the group left the building before the end of their allotted time. The room remained vacant from their departure until 8:59 p.m., when an employee smelled smoke and opened the Zebra Room's door to confirm the presence of smoke. She asked another employee to call the fire department, while she and others grabbed fire extinguishers and began trying to fight the flames. Though the employees were not aware of it, their opening of the zebra room's door allowed enough oxygen into the room to cause what had been a smoldering fire in the room's drop ceiling to flash over and begin to spread rapidly.
Now let's examine flashover and what the term really means. As the fire grows, you get a hot gas layer up top. Underneath where firefighters normally operate, the conditions are still tenable while operating in PPE with an SCBA. As the temperature inside the room is increasing, the contents are being preheated and begin to pyrolyze. When the temperature of the hot gas layer reaches 600 degrees Celsius or 1100 degrees Fahrenheit, the auto-ignition temperature of carbon monoxide, ignition, occurs. At this point, we have what we commonly refer to as rollover. The ignition and burning in the hot gas layer radiates heat to everything else in the room, leading to almost simultaneous ignition of all the room's contents, providing there's a sufficient oxygen to feed it. We now have fire, floor to ceiling, with temperatures in excess of 1100 degrees Fahrenheit. Everything in the room is on fire. This is what we call flashover. Even a firefighter with full PPE has mere seconds to survive this environment. This test conducted by NIST demonstrates the flashover phenomenon and the conditions that lead to it. The furniture used in this experiment is older and the cushions are polyurethane backed instead of polyester. This will result in a relatively slower fire development. The fire is started on the back couch with a piece of newspaper. It burns clean for the first few seconds, and once the fire gets into the synthetics, we see fuel-rich combustion products pouring out and filling the hot gas layer. Notice the piece of crumpled newspaper on the floor in the center of the room. As we start to get rollover, the hot gas layer radiates heat to everything around it. The temperature of the room starts to increase. Notice the white vapor coming off the newspaper. It pyrolyzes and auto-ignites in a matter of seconds, just due to the radiation from the hot gas layer. This is a precursor to flashover. Notice the turbulent fire conditions until the entire room transitions to flashover.
Yeah, I got it. Can it turn it off? Hey, get down low. Knock it down low. Alright, you ready to roll out on top of the look? Alright. 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 Yeah. Cause it's his first time burn all that painted section. Okay.
It quickly became clear that fire extinguishers were useless against the fast-growing blaze. The fire department was alerted to the fire at 9:01 p.m. and arrived at 9:05. As they approached, firefighters on the first emergency vehicles could already see smoke coming from the building. As smoke began to escape the zebra room and drift down the hall toward other banquet rooms, patrons and employees nearest to the zebra room smelled it. The employees began to urge room occupants to leave the building. However, as the sprawling complex lacked an audible fire alarm, those in more isolated rooms had no way to know that there was a fire in the building until an employee walked the length of the building alerting them. Fire investigators later estimated that the fire, once it spread through the northern doors of the zebra room, took only 2 to 5 minutes to enter the cabaret room. As a result, news of the fire and the first of the smoke and flame reached the cabaret room, the farthest point from the zebra room, nearly simultaneously. By the time busboy Walter Bailey arrived in the cabaret room and interrupted the show to order an evacuation at 9:06 p.m., there was very little time left for the audience of around 1,000 people to leave via the room's small number of exits. As it spread laterally, the fire also began to spread upwards, engulfing the spiral staircase that would have provided the best exit for those on the second floor of the building. Around 9:10 p.m., power failed in the building, extinguishing the lights. Panic ensued, and even those who had been calmly moving towards exits in the cabaret room began to push and shove each other. The situation was made even more desperate because, of the 3 exits in the room, 2 were soon blocked by the fire, leaving the crowd to funnel through only a single exit. Employees outside the exits attempted to pull guests to safety, but the crush of bodies as those behind pushed upon those in front became so solid that no amount of strength could free most of them. Many of those who escaped the crush blocking the northeast fire exit became lost trying to find other exits. The building's confusing design often led to a set of doors opening into a bar area that funneled frantic guests into a dead end. Firefighters, alerted that the majority of the building's occupants were in the cabaret room, focused their efforts there. But even the combined efforts of every fire department in the county were simply too little, too late. Temperatures in the cabaret room soared into the thousands of degrees, and even firefighters, weary and dehydrated, were soon unable to safely attempt any further rescues. Bruce Rath from the Fort Thomas Volunteer Fire Department was quoted as saying, "When I got to the inside doors, which is about 30 feet inside the building, I saw these big double doors, and people were stacked like cordwood." They were clear up to the top. They just kept diving out on each other, trying to get out. I looked back over the pile of, it wasn't even dead people. There were dead and alive in that pile. And I went in and just started to grab them 2 at a time and pulled them off the stack, dragged them out. At 11:30 p.m., Fire Command, suspecting that the building's roof would soon collapse, ordered all firefighters to evacuate the building. At approximately midnight, the roof did indeed implode onto what remained of the building. The magnitude of the blaze was such that firefighters did not have the flames under control until around 2 o'clock that morning. Parts of the building continued to burn until May 30th, 2 days after the fire began.
Feels good. Just being able to talk. Just for a while I had talk with electric larynx. Now I can talk, and I got an artificial, like this T-tube. The doctor in Boston invented it, put it in. And I'm getting along good with it. And I feel good to be home, and it feels good to be outside. I haven't been outside for about 6 months.
The Dayton couple had dated for several months, and on this night, Randy had planned to pop the question to Julie. He did. She answered yes. But the life they pledged to spend together almost ended before it began. From hospital beds, their voices hoarse from smoke and flames, they told of the horror inside the crowded cabaret room.
We both fell down. We tripped over somebody that had fallen in front of us. And when I got back up, I had hold of some other lady's arm. It wasn't Jolie's. And right then, the black smoke just engulfed us. And the only thing I could think of was getting out.
Randy and I got separated probably about 15 feet from the exit. And the boy that went on stage and started, he's the one that pulled me out.
Life is better today. It's now Mr. and Mrs. Randall Ross, and they're expecting their first child.
We've gone through a lot of things that weren't related to the fire that were... This last year have been pretty hectic, but I guess as far as recovering from it physically, I can still tell that it has happened. My lung capacity and things like that aren't what they used to be, but it doesn't limit me very much.
To come over to tea with the missus and me. It's a real nice way to spend a day in Dayton, Ohio, on lazy Sunday afternoon in 1903.
Oh my God.
Two comedians were performing, and another busboy went up and grabbed a mic from them and told the people that the room was on fire, not to panic and to leave, and they laughed at him. They thought it was part of the act.
Within a minute, however, the diners began smelling smoke. Then they panicked and surged toward the exits, or at least to where they thought the doors were located. Most of the victims died from smoke inhalation. It all happened with incredible speed.
By the early morning of May 29th, 134 bodies had been removed from the building and laid out, initially on the hillside surrounding the building, and then in a makeshift morgue inside the nearby Fort Thomas Armory. By the end of June 1st, 28 more bodies had been discovered, bringing the death toll up to 162. All but 2 of the dead were found in and around the cabaret room, with 125 clustered near the room's north exit and another 34 at the room's southern exit. 2 bodies were removed from the Viennese room. A small number of fire victims died after being rescued from the scene, one on June 25th and one on July 2nd. The last victim of the fire, Barbara Thornhill, of Delhi Township, died on March 1st, 1978, 9 months after the tragedy. This brought the number of verified deaths to 165. The investigation into the fire found the following deficiencies as enumerated by the Cincinnati Enquirer. 1. Overcrowding. Although seating charts recovered from the club after the fire show that the cabaret room, the largest facility in the club, normally held between 614 and 756 people, a hostess who had worked at the club for several years estimated occupancy on the date in question to be well over 925. 2. Inadequate fire exits. Full occupancy of the entire complex was estimated to be roughly 2,750, which, under Kentucky law, would require 28 exits, one for every 100 people. The club had fewer than 17 exits, many of which were not clearly marked nor easily reached. Some exits could be reached only by passing through 3 or more interior doors and corridors. 3. Faulty wiring. Governor Julian Carroll's report on the fire called the club's wiring an electrician's nightmare and alleged multiple wide-ranging code violations. Bridgetown electrician H. James Amend, who inspected the fire site at the request of a local attorney, Stan Chesley, a year and a half later said, "I cannot believe that any of this was ever inspected." 4. A lack of firewalls. This allowed the fire to spread and, in addition, allowed it to draw oxygen from other areas of the complex. 5. Poor construction practices. The club had been built piecemeal with inadequate roof support, no common ceiling space, and highly flammable components. 6. Extreme safety code violations. There was no sprinkler system and no audible automatic fire alarm. And 7. Poor oversight by regulatory authorities. The local volunteer fire department is said by the Enquirer to have known of the deficiencies, but by law at the time did not have the authority to compel corrections. This was the first lawsuit to use the concept of enterprise liability and one of the first disaster suits to be brought as a class action. Chief litigation attorney Stanley Chesley raised millions through the class action, benefiting many survivors. Richard Whitt of the Louisville Courier-Journal was awarded the 1978 Pulitzer Prize for local general or spot news reporting for his articles on the fire. His citation reads, "For his coverage of a fire that took 164 lives at the Beverly Hills Supper Club at Southgate, Kentucky, and subsequent investigation of the lack of enforcement of state fire codes." In a letter dated July 8, 2011, Kentucky Attorney General Jack Conway ordered a retired Kentucky State Police forensic specialist to return 60 boxes of color slides taken in the days after the fire, including pictures of the club's basement during the aftermath, which the forensic specialist had taken personal possession of following his retirement from the state police.
Yoink.
Conway's decision was that these documents were public records and must be handled and made available to the public in accordance with Kentucky's Open Records Act. In 2020, a private developer reached a deal with the city of Southgate to build a mixed-use development on the site. The development will include a memorial to the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire. First responders, families of fire victims, and others filed a lawsuit in September 2020 to halt the project, but came to an agreement in November 2020 following the project to move forward. Author Robert D. Webster, along with co-authors David Brock and Thomas McConaughey, in their 2012 investigative history, Beverly Hills Supper Club, The Untold Story of Kentucky's Worst Tragedy.
Except, of course, for Mitch McConnell.
While we're still talking about the GOP tax bill, it should be noted that back when it was first proposed, the Joint Committee on Taxation estimated that it would add $1 trillion to the deficit, to which Mitch McConnell claimed And it's a quote, "I'm confident this is not only revenue neutral to the government, but actually it's very likely to be a revenue producer." He was wrong. And Mitch is often wrong, and also bad, about a lot of things. I'm not just talking about the more divisive viewpoints like gay marriage or abortion, but more specifically about how he doesn't actually care for doing his job. And that his number one goal is to gain and then hold on to power. And for some reason, he remains in power, despite being very bad and wrong about all of the things he was elected to do. Few of us expect to be at the center of world-changing events when we first file for office, and personal ambition usually has a lot more to do with it than most of us are willing to admit. That was certainly true for me. It's a depressingly telling admission that not only did he go into politics for personal gain, but he assumes everyone around him feels the same way. And in fair and balancedness, TMCR-edness, this certainly does seem like the case for Mitchie's wife and Secretary of Transportation Elaine Chao, seen here next to our president as he defends Nazis.
So, as far as I'm concerned, that was a horrible, horrible day. Wait a minute, I'm not finished.
I'm not finished, fake news.
Mitch McConnell is very rich and has close ties to other people who want to stay very rich. And by multiple accounts and interviews over the years, it's clear that Mitch McConnell's number one political technique is to acquire money from rich people in exchange for political favors. Like, no foolin', Mitch seriously loves money.
Satan is real, working in spirit. You can see him and hear him in this world every day. Satan is real, working with power. He can tempt you and lead you astray.
In the 1970s, when he taught a political science class, the very first thing he would do is write, "Money, money."
So it was here in the cabaret showroom where singer John Davidson was shaving in a dressing room and preparing to appear minutes away on stage on May 28, 1977. Approximately 9:05 p.m., hero busboy Walter Bailey, age 18, went on stage on his own volition, was handed Teeter's microphone, and announced the fire to the audience. He pointed out the exits and asked for patrons to calmly exit. Although there was a steady stream of patrons evacuating, others quoted him as saying it was a small fire in the front of the building, was probably nothing, and that Teeter and McDonald's comedy act would continue in a few minutes once the fire was extinguished. Many patrons thought this was part of the comedy act and remained seated. They did not wish to leave their best seats in front of the stage. Patrons in the lowest pit area before the stage were the least likely to survive. Here's some plates.
Gonna rip right in.
Cases of this old Pepsi can.
It's been melted from the fire. The top end.
200 years of feeling free. The 1976 bicentennial Pepsi can. That's really cool. This is a list, I guess, of all the people that died. Beverly Hills Supper Club.
Satan is real, lurking.